And we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today has been a very busy day. We started off the day this morning with unboxing the new chameleon collar all the way from Belgium. Oh man, this thing is fancy. And so we started off the day with that, and then I streamed live with putting the collar on one of my dogs, actually on two of my dogs. And speaking of which, I have one of them right here, as always. The producers, Chris says. And now we come to you live with Tash, Trebes, and Chris Wood from all the way down in the furthest corner of the world, down there in New Zealand, Eureka.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's us.
How you guys doing?
Good, thanks.
I'm very good. Thanks for having us on.
Oh man, thanks for coming on. You guys have been big fans of my live streams from day one, and I had to have you on. I've been a friend of Tosh for a while now. We've always chatted it up, and I just thought, you know, what better person to come on than Tosh and Chris. You guys, why don't you tell us? In fact, why don't you give us a little synopsis of what you do down in New Zealand there? And while you do that, I'm going to share this to a few of the groups that we all belong to, and some dog training professional groups. So, what do you do down there?
Well, essentially, we're just people. We love dogs. We're an affinity for animals, and I guess our journey started. When we got our first dog together, and she started displaying behavior problems, and you know, those motivated us to learn about, you know, canine learning theory and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so once, you know, that got us into the groove of things and learning about the trainers in the world, and pretty isolated in New Zealand, of course. And then we moved to Eureka, which is a small rural blip, if you will, just on the outside of Hamilton, New Zealand, one of the main cities in the country.
Okay.
Rented this shed, which has a couple of units in it, and we decided to actually move here to offer classes and talk about market training and body language and this type of stuff. And turns out we met a few people along the way. They were starting doggy daycare business in Hamilton. Okay. And a couple of the dogs that didn't quite fit the mold there, they were referred to us. And it just kind of grew from there. We started getting our name out, referrals from vets and places like that. And suddenly we're hosting our own kind of daycare service. And yeah, that's fast forward.
The rest is history, you know, as they say.
Pretty much.
And now it's just me.
We have a lot of people joining us, you guys. A lot of people from down under, if you as we can imagine. We have Jackie says hi guys. James says hey you guys and gals. Katrina says hey guys. Sue is a local here. Hey Sue. Berto Shady says go Tosh. Love and adore what you guys do, Chris and Tosh. Thanks for having them on, Bill. My pleasure. You know, I love talking to people that are working with dogs. It's what I do. It's something that we all have in common, that we've traded our lives to work with these animals, and I think that that's unique. But I also think that we have, through our observations and through our lessons, that we have some pearls of wisdom that we can share with others through our experiences. And you guys said that you started with a dog with behavioral problems. Was this a beagle?
No, this was a bull terrier.
A bull terrier.
So English bull terrier Hades. She started. Just name her like that name, and she'll get problems. But she started off as a normal puppy. Of course, we were young and dumb and just wanted a bull terrier. Yeah. So we just backyard bred one because it was cheap. Because you know we totally knew what we were doing. But she was a normal puppy. And she normal puppy, but we didn't really understand like the severity of like early litter removal and how much that would impact her. We also didn't sort of understand how prevalent spinning could be as a genetic issue, which is a compulsive disorder, in bull terriers. And it was after she got D6, they think that actually triggered the genome that was underlying in her anyway. So there wasn't any indicators that she was going to be like that. So it started off, her D6ing wasn't done well, and so she had a longer recovery time, and it would come to the point where someone would knock on the door and she'd run to the door and spin. And we thought, oh, it's cute, thinking puppies spin, because some puppies do spin when they're excited. But then it escalated, and she was just spinning all the time.
Was she spinning just in one direction?
Yeah, always clockwise.
Yeah, that's the other indicator too. Is, I mean, sometimes dogs will spin, but they'll spin one direction, then spin the other direction, and then that's okay. I mean, that's a little bit more acceptable. But once they start to really lock in on that clockwise or that one direction, then that's a real red flag for me as far as underlying genetic factors that are influencing behavior. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. And then so of course we were like, oh, this is a bit more than just her being playful. So we went to the vets, and the vet said, oh, this is pretty serious. You need to do this and you need to do that. And no one really could help us. And then it escalated to when we came home and the whole entire hallway was covered in blood.
Oh,
and we thought, oh my gosh, someone's murdered our dog. Where is our dog? And unfortunately, we had chewed off the end of her tail and was sitting down the end of the bedroom, down the hallway, just wagging this bone. Exhausted. And we thought, oh my gosh. So we took her to the vet, and they just said, no, you need to put her down. You can't fix this. Could try medications, but we don't really know how well they'll work. And we just really couldn't find anybody to help us. And then you really discovered like the Michael Ellis training system. Okay. And then we just started trying to train her out of it because we didn't know any better at this stage. And then fast forward 7 years, like she had actually been able to be trained to be cognitive, and she was highly intelligent, but any trigger, she would just spin. And if spinning didn't help, then she would bite her tail and clamp on, and it was just a nightmare. Like, we were so stressed. And then I just started watching Jeff Gelman on YouTube, and he happened to be going to Cairns, Australia, so that was quite close for us. And then I just was like, I've got to go see him because he said he could help. And then, yeah.
Well, just what's interesting about that type of problem and the lack of information out there is it pushed us into corners of the literature world, the academics, to try to find answers. And along the way, we, discovered a lot of stuff about, Pavlov and Skinner and all the academic stuff. And so we sort of kind of fast-tracked our own learning, but we weren't envisioning ourselves to become trainers or anything. But just through the journey, it happened that way. It was quite interesting. And I wouldn't look back.
Well, you're not alone. I've talked to, JT Clough. I've done probably about 60 of these live streams now with various dog trainers, and I've probably got about 10 of them with about the same story as you, is that they didn't really plan on working with dogs or anything. They just got a problem dog, and they ended up loving this animal. They didn't want to put it down. They saw potential, and they wanted to do everything it took and whatever it took to ensure that this dog's character was changed for the better, or that their life was tolerable, if not enjoyable, with this animal. And in doing so, they recognize a void in the industry and they step up to fill it. And I commend you guys for taking this, taking that notion and starting your own business to help other people that find themselves in the same situation you were in.
We're just going to copy and paste that and put it on our About Us page.
Go ahead. He's so funny, man. So here, let's go. So we got, hey, everyone, Sherwood says, tell them we love them from Aussie land. I thought you guys were the same. Nadia says, oh, yeah, yay. Glenn Cook says, hey, Bill, Tosh, and Chris. Hey, Glenn, I want you, Glenn is coming on this as well.
Hey, Glenn's awesome.
Let me see here. Cher says, yay for crazy ass bull terrier people. You know who you are.
We have one lazy one behind us.
Yeah, look at right between you there. You got the lazy. Whenever I'm dating myself, but when Spuds McKenzie is what we think of here in the States. I don't know how big they was down in New Zealand with their marketing campaign. And then I just did a quick shout out here to the Michael Ellis School. Check them out. I'm gonna reach out and see if I can get Michael on here. He's a big influence of had a big influence on me as well, and I think that guy is solid with his advice. I highly recommend him. Hades, the true testament to your skills, you guys. Amazing bully rep. Cool. That's Aaron says that. And then Samantha here, she says, Eureka Services saved us and my rescue baby Shadow. Don't know what we would have done without these beautiful people. You are both truly amazing.
Oh, cute.
Well, look at the fact that you have on other people's lives, because this is definitely a needed service. And I think that, a lot of this stuff is not easy, because we really have to be present. And, what have you guys learned through your journey? How long have you had your business? When did you have Hades, and how long has this journey been going on for?
That's a great question. So Hades has turned 10 December, and the business is entering its 5th financial year. So, if that gives any indication. Well, both of us, grew up around animals and dogs, and the typical cliche story, Yeah. But more professionally, I guess, once we came across Michael Ellis's work, it just ticked all the boxes. He was able to summarize a lot of the theory stuff, which plays right into my personality. I love the geek stuff.
Yeah.
Ultra
nerd.
Really good. He's good at presenting that information.
Yeah, because it's not sexy, And so, and then just, I guess, my own personal talents, being a musician, I was able to adopt the information and practice it. And I had the space to be able to do that with our own dogs, and gain that kind of truth, if you will, a lot quicker than some others. And then, through Michael's ability to summarize the information, of course, the yearning to learn more stuff started to venture into other people and what work they were producing, and bit of the sports dog world, and obviously pet dog stuff, which is really what we're focusing on at the moment, is pet dogs. So I don't know if that answers the question. Yeah.
Well, and I just forgot I didn't share this on my personal page. So you guys share this. If you haven't shared it, go ahead and hit that share button. Oh, whoops, that's it. And I have some other people here. Amy says, Tosh taught me everything I know to save my Kelpie. And Jackie says, the nerd stuff's totally sexy. Well, and that's it. I mean, you guys have already affected a lot of people's lives in the short time that you have already done this. I mean, what do you think the problem is? I mean, first off, what is it like owning a dog in New Zealand?
Well, people here are pretty casual, and there are a lot of dogs with purpose here, which is really nice. Like, we have our own breed of farm dog, so the Hunterway. So the Hunterway is a purpose-bred dog, mainly for cattle farms, and we've moved more from sheep farming into cattle farming in New Zealand. So the Hunterway Yeah, it's used a bit now. Maybe it's died back a little bit because a lot of farmers aren't using dogs on their farm, but they're really good for just barking and moving the stock. Really nice natured dogs. So we have like the farming sector in New Zealand, which is, we have a lot of eye dogs and sheep dogs. And then we have like the pet dog sector, which is just everything. But the dogs we mainly see, we do get a lot of dogs that were supposed to be guard breeds going into pet homes. That seems to be our thing of late. Rottweilers, Mastiffs. The pit bull is only I think been in New Zealand since the 70s or 80s, so it's kind of new here, but they've banned import already.
Okay.
But from that came a lot of terrier mixes, and they can equally be just as great as they can be really intense. And a lot of them need work. Like a lot of those types of dogs need work, and that's the problems that we see. But we have everything here, really.
Well, these dogs are high maintenance dogs. I mean, that's what it is. They have it. They're working breeds, and they need a job, or they're going to have an unemployment situation. I tell my clients, and sometimes that job is focused tasks of staying in a spot or a heel or something like that. It's something that dog can benefit from, because now they're contributing to the relationship, and they feel that worth. Tammy says, "Go Tash! Well done, Kiwis."
Thanks, Kiwi.
So Kiwi's a bird?
Yeah, Kiwi is our native bird. So it's a bit of a useless bird because it's flightless.
Okay.
So it just pecks along the ground eating grubs and only comes out at night. It's a nocturnal bird, and they're very susceptible to predators. So you can get in really big trouble here if your dog kills a Kiwi. You'll be liable, I think it's up to a $50,000 fine, and your dog may get euthanized as well, because we are the only place that have these little weird birds.
That's all I need for my marketing. Really, you guys want recall? Don't you want your dog to kill a Kiwi? $50,000, and then they euthanize your dog too, man. That's not messing around.
Yeah, so it's pretty serious about the Kiwi bird, but yeah, a lot of people call us Kiwis, not New Zealanders. So yeah, that's how that comes up.
I think of the fruit.
Yeah, furry little green fruit.
Yeah, do you guys have those down there?
Yeah, we have heaps of it.
Oh, there you go. We are so lucky to have these guys in Waikato. What is that? Waikato?
Yeah.
Doing such amazing work. Go, Chris and Tash. Look at all these people singing your praises, you guys.
So Kelly Wolf, she actually helps out with a place called DC Rescue Dogs. So they're probably one of the biggest rescues close to us. And we have a client that fosters for them. So every now and then they'll ask us, can you guys take a puppy that she's fostering and just, have it for the day around all of our good groups of dogs. So we have a group of dogs that we've named our helper group. And that's mainly because the skills they have are really, really good to teach other dogs. And sometimes there's just things that we can't teach dogs, we're humans. So it's quite nice to put those puppies in, and then we can make a little video for them and show people that if they wanted to adopt this dog, this is the best type of home for this little puppy. So we really like to help out that rescue. They send us a lot of people for behavioural problems, but they do a really great job too.
One of the biggest problems that I see is people anthropomorphizing or putting human characteristics on this animal. And I love what you said about, hey, we're people and this is a dog. And then I also like how I said, Chris said at the very beginning, we're just people, And we need to remember that we're different species, and we can, if we have some solid dogs, you know, sometimes I would get a feel for a dog, and then I'd get them around my dogs to confirm it, or sometimes they would be like, I would be like, oh wait, something's up with this dog because you know, Gracie doesn't like him, or you know, there's you know, just something off, or you know, and I listen to my pack.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Beagle falls into it.
Okay.
We have 2 English Bull Terriers and this random Beagle, and he came to us for training from some friends of Chris's, and he was just not fitting into their family. He'd been rehomed many times. He had a very big bite record, which is a bit odd for a Beagle.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just because once we'd had him for a month, he was just really unfulfilled. So once we started walking him, getting the big weight he had on him off, we could see who he was, and he's become such a valuable asset to us. He definitely pays his way. So if we have a dog that comes in that's aggressive, because we do handle a lot of aggressive dogs or nervous dogs, we can bring him in, and if he sits by the door and grunts, we know, take him out now, and we really need to be serious with this dog. If he comes in, he'll lie down in the middle of the room and look at me, and I'll think, oh, okay, something's up with this dog, but it's not so bad. And then I'll tell him to go away, and Chris will reward him. And then if the dog's actually not that bad and is just quite afraid, he'll come right up to them, sniff around, and then just lie down by them. And that gives me a good indication that that dog's actually just afraid.
Yeah,
and he,
putting on a big show.
Yeah, and he's just made the most hilarious friends. He's got this tiny little Beagle next to like an 80 kg Mastiff, and it's hiding behind him half the time. And it's quite cute, but he has a lot of girlfriends, that dog.
Yeah, they're excellent in helping dogs coming out of their shells too, because sometimes that's all that dog is looking for, is that camaraderie or companionship. That because these guys are strength or social animals, right? And they get those strength in numbers, and you know, and I think that some of these dogs that we have as our demo dogs that will help us out, you know, they've seen that over and over again, and they get an idea of what their job is, and they start doing it, you know. And that was my boy Cedar, who just went to heaven last month. God bless him. Or he, or was it almost 2 months now? So we're getting feels like yesterday, but that was my guy, man. I mean, he would always have my right side, and I can tell by the way he would position himself with the dog that I was working with. And if he would position himself on the flank of that dog or in that dog's blind side, I know that this dog was a serious, and he wanted to kind of get the jump on him in case the dog decided to come after me. And so I watched that, and it's very important to pay attention to that. I think that's so cool. You know, it's a Beagle. How big is the Beagle?
Beagle. He is really helpful, though, and I think he does, like you say, he thrives being around all the dogs. He's out with the groups all the time, and he really, really enjoys it, and you see him at his happiest when he's with the dogs.
Yeah, he's got a job. He's got purpose. He's got fulfillment, and that's the other thing, too, is that fulfillment aspect of, you know, these dogs are individuals, and each one of them has desires. And the desires that these individual dogs are just important to that individual dog as your wants and desires are to you. And when we're unfulfilled, we start acting out in weird ways. But when we're fulfilled, man, we get into the zone, you know, and we could do this all day, and we call it flow. We have different names for it. You know, might as well help our dogs get into the zone, right?
That's right. And then we have this lazy guy behind us, Chris's dog, Draco. I'll just see if I can get ready. Okay.
There you go. The terrier.
Come on. See if I can get him. This
Glenn
guy.
says, speaking of the $50,000 fine, I mean, $20,000 for just touching a turtle in Hawaii. Wow. That's craziness. There he is. Remember, you're behind me, Tash, so you might need to scoot over just a little bit because you're right behind my head playing the bongos. You're playing the bongos in my head earlier. So, giving the Beagle the job, now helping other people, what do you see as a most common mistake that New Zealanders make with their dogs?
So I guess it doubles back to what you mentioned about, the anthropomorphism.
Yeah.
It's one of them. And not that, like, I'm pretty gooey when it comes to bull terriers, bit of a softie, and with little dogs as well. But
Me too.
I think part of the problem with it is that part of the problem is that it shields, almost blocks people's decision making, and be it applying the right consequence for their behaviour. And so what we find is a lot of people aren't. So certain behaviours that require punishment aren't being punished. And so what happens is these behaviours are repeated enough times to the point where they become so strong, and they actually then become risky at that point.
Yeah.
And then someone calls us, right? So yeah, it's all related in that kind of way, yes. And it brings up another point about management and the mismanagement.
Yes.
So a lot of the dogs are placed in situations that elicit, let's say, normal behavior for them, but not acceptable behavior from a domesticated or human society perspective. And as a result, it's deemed bad. And so, yeah, it's kind of a knot of issues there. And that's the primary focus for us, is to try and, brush out the knots, if you will. It's a little play on because I have long hair, but
well, I get it, and that's what I tell my clients. I get it. It's, first off, I get the fact that we put our own perception onto something because this is the way that we see the world, and so it makes sense for us to kind of view that through our eyes, or view the world as that animal or that entity through our eyes and our experiences. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's easy, and it makes it easy for us to see the world. But what I tell people is that we have to become the dog by proxy. We have to, instead of overlaying our own perceptions on this dog, we have to realize that we as human beings have parts of our brain that this animal does not. And knowing that gives us functions and different capabilities with our thought processes that this animal does not have. And so by labeling this animal with human characteristics is actually a disservice to this animal, because it's impossible for this animal's mind to work and to contemplate like we are. But instead, what we can do is we can become the dog, so to speak, and to live in the moment, and to really, really look at the world through a dog's mind and get to know that we're dealing with a predator as well.
Yeah.
And that's a huge factor in how these guys deal and navigate the world. And we're also dealing with a domesticated animal that has been with human beings for quite a while, that actually rely on us now. And so that's a factor to consider as well. But, knowing that it's okay, that it makes sense to do this. But once we know, then we can take action to fix it. And we look at that dog and we look at that animal as a feedback loop to see if we're getting the right results.
Yeah. Or we don't, or we recognize all these facts, and we still don't change.
Well, and the punishment thing too, I get too, because it doesn't feel good. And I tell people, doing what's right doesn't necessarily always feel good. Right. And and it's also thinking with the emotions. We can't think with our emotions. And we love these dogs. What's that?
Sorry, Bill. Just saying, even the word punishment gets people feeling a particular way, among other labels. But,
yeah, because it doesn't feel good. I get it. It doesn't feel good. It's not meant to feel good.
No.
you know, and that's it. And that's where, you know, I tell people, let the punishment sit, let it settle, let it hold its weight. Because a lot of people will punish and then be like, I'm sorry, I love you. You know, and I'm just like, you just praised this punishment, which we do not want to do. You know, we want to show them contrast, but we also want to show them consequences. And in the world out there, there is real world consequences. And a lot of times with the philosophy that we see with Pavlov and Skinner, we do have to realize that all this was done in an acoustic chamber called the science lab, and these dogs come out into the real world with us. They're not pigeons or rats, or, you know, they're not just in a cage. And then the Pavlov, we have to look at the surgical. These guys would, to get to the salivatory gland, would cut open this dog's face and have this cup there, and that, you know, that's going to affect behavior too. And I have not seen anything that in regards to that as well. And so salivatory stress response, all that stuff. So there's a lot of factors that need to be considered when we start really delving into, you know, the science of these guys, and start looking at the dogs and the real world implications of the training, but also the responses that the dogs give us.
You touched base on something interesting about like how post-consequence, how we feel. We may feel guilty about doing so, and therefore we kind of counsel the dog, or you know, try to make them feel better about that moment. And then you have the opposite, where people are applying certain punishment and really holding on to it and being angry, and, you know,
over the top,
like staining the moment with their frustration.
Yes.
And what I've found, you know, with applying certain consequences or punishment in this case, is if you can do so without any emotional baggage that, you know, stains that moment, then it's done and done. The dog doesn't care, it moves on, and away we go, you know. It's just in the moment stuff, and you don't need to dwell on, you know.
Yeah, I have to tell people, you know what, the dog gets it. You know, the dog already showed you that they get it, and they, you know, they're sorry. It's and to you know, to continue on would lead to apprehension towards the handler, because that dog is not going to trust that his signs that are kind of like white flags or whatever are not being heard. And yeah, absolutely, you can go too far with that punishment as well. And that's what the benefit of working with professionals that have seen dogs over and over again, and worked with multiple cases, have eclectic knowledge base to share their experience with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Just
interesting.
you guys, what were you doing before dogs, Tash?
Well, I was a hairdresser and a barber, but I do come from a really animal-centric family. So my mum was a horse trainer, my granddad was a dog trainer and a horse trainer. My sister's a vet nurse, and she also helps do like bird rehabilitation. So she helps owls and hawks and like things like that. We have a lot of vets in our family, vet nurses, which is really good to draw upon knowledge if we really need to know something that maybe we question. Say if a dog's moving wrong, I can send them a video of it and say, hey, do you think this requires a vet check? And they'll go, yeah or nah. Most of the time it's yeah, I definitely think you should. Yeah. And then I've got a cousin who owns Positively Canine in Auckland, which is like a boarding retreat for dogs, and she's a trainer too. So yeah, my family's just animal mad, but it's great because we all have a real compassion for animals.
What about you, Chris?
So I guess I was kind of flirting with teaching guitar and drums, and also playing in bands and stuff like that.
Well, the music aspect is interesting because there's a huge timing aspect with dog training as well.
Absolutely. And not only timing, but muscle memory, practice habits, you know, things that actually help immensely when it comes to learning dog skills and training skills and stuff like that. Being able to count in the background while you are, you know, somewhat live with the dog in front of you, little things like that I've been able to borrow from my time at the muso. And that's what I do in my spare time, whenever that is. Yeah.
Hey, Larry Crone, what's up, buddy? He says, hey, folks. I love that collar, man. The chameleon collar. I was just showing it earlier. Larry got one of these too, so he's checking it out. So I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think that I never really thought about the music aspect of it, but it's absolutely. I mean, repetition's the mother of learning. I tell people, like, and that's what I do on the torch every day. You know, I'm out there practicing something that I want to get good at, something that I have this vision. I have a terrible longing to make this real, and that's what it takes. There's really no substitution for it, is there?
No. Practice.
Yes.
Yeah. There is no substitution.
Well, and that, I mean, if we want to get good at something, then we have to practice at it. It means the same thing with our dogs. If we want them to be good at something, we have to practice that with them.
Definitely.
And there's no way around it.
Nah, and they actually have that ability to make their own decisions, of course. Mm-hmm. So irrespective of whether we're there or with them, they still have that ability to make choices and therefore practice behavior, be it good or bad.
Yeah. They can
strengthen these behaviors. So say a classic example would be leaving them in the front yard. So as pedestrians walk by the house, they just react to them. And then, we get this constant fence fighting dog that didn't happen overnight. It's something that dogs practice religiously. And so, correlation between anything you practice, sports, music, instruments,
even bad habits, man. I mean, if you let them be, they're going to practice that every day. And just like you said, it's a ritualistic behavior that's reinforced every single time by adrenaline and endorphins. And he needs a little bit more the next time to get the kick. And so he ramps up that behavior just a little bit more. And then pretty soon they call us.
And I think that leads into a good point of, like, we had a very interesting time with dogs. So we started off with the hardest dogs. So instead of just training puppies and working our way up to the hard ones, we got all the hard ones.
Yeah.
Fighters.
Trial by fire.
A real, trial by fire. It was either, run or die. But it's been good kind of getting the hardest, because now we're actually getting people bring us puppies. And it's so nice to be able to build a puppy up, nurture them through their teenage stages, which is always scratchy. And then they become really nice adults. And the puppies we've had in our day train groups that we have nurtured from puppies through teenagehood into adulthood are just the nicest dogs. We've been able to facilitate nothing going wrong because we've got good management protocols. And we've been able to ask the owners to have those same management protocols. And the dogs are coming out nice dogs. And that's really important to us.
Well, and I think that's an important point. Too many times we see people, and even I see it all the time with my friends, not only do I love that, because when you're working with your dog at the beginning of the formative years, that dog is going to live a fulfilled life, and it because they've started out fulfilled, and they know what boundaries are, they know what routine is, they know what that structure is and the importance of it, and now they can truly flourish in an environment that is built for the most effective way for them to learn, right? Instead of being stressed, and that's what a lot of these dogs are when they're reactive. They're stressed, folks. It's not funny, and I have to remind people that. And I encourage people, look, if you have a dog, get a professional from the beginning. Don't wait until you're putting out fires with behavior that is, that you do not like. Well, and that's it. It's like, and that's, as a professional, I tell you what, man, this is exactly what I love to do. One, I love matchmaking. So I love going and looking at the puppies and looking and loving them up and being like, this guy is good for you, this one isn't. Let me tell you why. Or none of them are good for you. Let me tell them why. Or all of them are good for you, whatever. Let me tell you why, because the why is the power behind everything, right? So I love matchmaking. And I love it when I get a puppy. I love when somebody calls me with like, you know, a 4-month-old puppy, and what do I do? And I have to commend them, and I'm saying, thank you so much for calling. Let's get this dog set off on the right foot. Let's get this dog set for success. And not only that, but this is a big decision when people get a puppy. It's a decade decision plus. And if you invest that time at the very beginning with a professional, it's going to pay you dividends for the life of that dog. Would you guys agree?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a saying, get it right first time, you know. And part of that is just so you avoid any rework. No one wants to have to try to fix a problem if there's no problem that exists from the beginning. You know?
Yeah.
Well, and then the learning capabilities can be taken to, you know, a further extent because we don't have to go back to rework, and you know, and that's what professionals have is a lot of tips and tricks from working with thousands of dogs. I do, you know, I could tell somebody right away. I mean, I did it tonight when I was at yoga. I was at yoga right before this. You guys, I've been doing that hot yoga every day. Every day I go to this thing because of the way that I felt the very first time that I went. I was laying in a puddle of patheticness after about 20 minutes. And so now I go and I can rock that. And not only that, but I went for an hour right before here, and I'm fine. It actually energizes me. And so you just have to work through the suck. And you have to embrace the suck sometimes, you know. And even Jeff Gelman, I've had him on here, and he talks about the messy middle.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that people forget about that and forget about, you know, that the practice and stuff that goes into it, and realize that there is going to be confusion. You know, concepts being confused, you know, and we need to wait for that fusion to take effect. And, you know, there's going to be times that the dog's not going to get it. There's going to be times that the dog's going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to have bad days. The dog's going to have bad days, and you work through them.
Yeah, it's amazing how disabling doubt is, you know. If something doesn't work the way you planned it, or your goal, you haven't been able to achieve it, suddenly there's doubt in the back of the mind, and you know, and then you just some people just give up. They don't push through that middle, or you know, go through the thorn bush to come out of it at the other side.
Yeah. So, well, I'm telling you, the strength lies in those challenges. The strength lies in those, whatever makes you feel, you know, this apprehension. You know, look at it objectively, look at it through an observer lens without reacting, and, you know that you're working through with a professional. And I tell people, you know, let's watch the dog.
Yeah.
You know, let the dog tell you if I'm full of crap. Let the dog be our expert here.
Well, that's the one thing we're extremely lucky with here, is that our landlord and our neighbour, you could not get better people. Like, our landlord lets us use his whole property. The farmer next door lets us use his whole entire farm. So sometimes if a dog comes in that is just a wreck, I don't train them. I make sure we're safe, so they're muzzled, and I just take them down the farm. Get away from the world, just go for a big walk so I can get to know who you are, and hopefully you get rid of some of that mess so I can help you through it. Because some of them, like, well, nearly all of them, like you said, are so stressed. So how about we take you away from the city, we bring you out here, there's literally nothing apart from birds and cows, and we just go for a walk. Run on a big long line, don't care what you do as long as you're not trying to eat me, and just de-stress a bit. And I find that really, really helpful with those dogs, or for myself too. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, we've had so much, I need to go for a walk, and I'll just take Hades and we'll just go for a walk down the farm.
Yeah.
We'll just be here for 3 hours and go and lie in a paddock and literally just throw a ball around or literally do nothing.
Take a forest bath, I call it, if you're out, you know, bathe in the scenery.
Yeah, and it's extremely helpful to have space sometimes.
Yes.
You don't have, you know, your phone ringing, you don't have anyone else at you, it's just you and the dog in this area of space, and it helps you really read that dog, and you're not training them. You're not doing anything. You're just trying to get to know them, and then you can know what's best for them, where to start.
Yeah, you're observing them. You're observing, and you're looking at their body structure, and they're just like their head, how it's like tilting around, looking around, the ears. You know, there's so many things. You're just watching that dog. You know, it's like dog TV.
Yeah. The observation I really enjoy. Sometimes I'll just sit with a dog, time allowing, for a couple of hours and just see, who are you? Because I really want to know who that animal is, so I know what's the best course of action to take.
Rapport is power. And, you know, not only are you getting to know that dog, but that dog's getting to know you at that same time. And seeing that you're not all over their business, and seeing that you're not forcing an interaction, and you're not governing without the consent. You know, you're getting to know the dog, you're building rapport, and you're going to have consent now when you start to work with that animal, because essentially, bottom line is that trust is paramount with a lot of these dogs that we work with, and so we can engage them and get them to make better decisions because they do trust us, and do trust. You know, what happens is that the dog trusts us, right? And then they're going to trust the situations that we put them in because they trust us. And then eventually they're going to learn to trust themselves. And then when they do that, that's when that positive motivation really comes in and be like, dude, I am so proud of you. You know, you made the right decision. And they're like, I did. You know, and you're like, see, you know, who is this dog? You know, and it's basically, you can see that character change for that better because the dog has now knows based on experience.
Yeah. And time. Something we can't fast forward, you know. That's
right. Or substitute.
Yeah. Which is a conundrum for a business owner trying to quote someone something. That's just one of the realities we. You know.
Well, that's it. You know, people ask me, how long is this going to take? And especially with the rescue rehab cases, it's like, as long as it takes.
Yeah. That's exactly what I say too. I can't tell you because I don't know.
Yeah.
Each is different, and it's just it's going to take as long as it takes.
That's right.
Certainly fast track it by doing various things. You know, manage them in a particular way. Alter their food intake and various things like that to get, you know, to kind of fast track the
set them up for success.
Yeah, that one.
Well, a lot of dogs I see are set up for failure from day one. Yeah. Just by setting up. I mean, and the intentions are good. And you know, and like I was saying earlier, I get it because it's easier for us to see a world through our own perception, and because corrections or, you know, holding boundaries doesn't feel good necessarily. But in order to have a fulfilled and balanced relationship, these things are essential.
Definitely. And management, you have to manage puppies, especially.
Yes.
Too much free roaming allows too much instinct. And then instinct gets them in trouble, and we can't row them for that because they were born with it. But if we manage it, then they fit in with us much better.
You know, I tell people the puppies have a small mind, and they need a small world to go with that small mind.
Yeah, definitely. They can only process so much at once, and they get so tired so quickly.
And sleep is very important for that structure of that brain and the processing capabilities and that neural growth. You know, and good diet, good sleep, and that's what we call soak time. And we'll do a drill with the dog, and then we'll put them back in the crate, let the information soak in, and let them just relax and just be.
That's what I'm sort of meaning about, you know, we can do certain things to accelerate the process, rather than teach them something and then let them go off and do whatever. You know, the information you've just tried to install in them is all gone now, or it's sitting in the background, but it's not you know, front and center for them to contemplate on as they're sleeping. So little tips, as you sort of pointed out before, that we're full of just through experience, and that all those little things are amazing. Something that we're very lucky to have been able to accumulate. Because all of this is just pure luck. It's all the way things fell into place You know, the building we got, the landlord, the people we've met along the way that have referred clients to us. You know, it's all just, timing and,
Well, it's also you guys, you know, I think that there's, like I was saying earlier, there's a void in the world of people that are really doing, you know, that good work that with troubled dogs that not everybody is capable of doing. And, you know, it's, you know, the universe kind of unfolds and shows you, you know, kind of where you need to go. And sometimes you'll see synchronistic or coincidences that show up that it's kind of like, huh.
Yeah,
all the time.
We call them eureka moments now.
Eureka moments. There you go. You know, and a lot of this time when it happens, it's like minimal effort. Sometimes you kind of move into just that new space and that new growth because you are doing, you know, what you're passionate about, and you're also really truly helping people, not just with the relationship with their animal, but to understand a better, you know, or get a better understanding of what life is, and then the nature of things, the natural law of how behavior works, and you know, how the world really is.
Yeah, and we live it as humans all the time anyway. So it's not like it's a foreign concept to anyone. You know, school is riddled with consequences, and their job is to shape us into a particular law-abiding citizen, right?
Right.
And we have an institution that makes sure that that stays in place as we get older. So it's not like it's foreign to anyone.
Well, and look at how, I mean, remember in school, was it all like rainbows and sunshine and easy breezy? You know, I was challenged quite a bit, especially in chemistry. You know, I remember being really challenged in chemistry. English was one of my worst subjects. Like, I just could not conjugate to save my life.
I always at the back of class just playing guitar or drawing or listening to music. I don't think I was present in class most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's work, and that's it. Is now we have skills that we use every day in life thanks to that, and so will your dog when you have these. When the dog knows, and essentially it's opening up the lines of communication.
Definitely.
You know, you can take your relationship now to the fullest potential because now you can communicate with that animal, and you know, it's a beautiful thing. You know,
really, it's self-motivating. It's the reason why we get up tomorrow and do the same thing over and over again. Minus the insanity part.
But, yeah, well, I mean, I tell people I'm the worst boss I've ever had.
Well, he's the boss when we're on the clock. Off the clock, I'm the boss. So
dang right. I don't buy that for a second. You're the clock, or you're the boss on the clock too. you just make him think he's the boss on the clock, which is good.
It works for me. It works for me.
Awesome, you guys. Well, is there anything else that you want to mention? I know, you know, you got a lot of great fans down there. How do people? Do you have a website, or how do people find you or find Eureka?
Yep. So available on through Facebook, of course. Eureka Dog Services. Our website is semi-functional. eurekadogservices.co.nz. Maybe we'll shorten the URL one day, but.
When you get time.
When I get time. So I made the website, and it's, as I say, under construction for the last 4 years or so.
The Eureka Dog Services. Let me share the page here. Make sure that I'm liking it too. I love the blue. So you guys got a lot of blue there. There's the beagle.
Too.
Well, actually, colors are an interesting part of psychology, and I chose blue because of what it typically is associated with, and that is facts. Well, yeah. So I'm pulling this from
Here's a. Oh wait, did I just? That thing is huge. I just put up a comment. Well, click the comment anyway. I just like copy a link and it just been a huge comment, but that's their page, I think. Will somebody click the comment that I just made and make sure or confirm that it takes it to their page? I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was just pointing out like, blue being a color that represents, using facts and trying to reintroduce some of the basic concepts that seem to have gotten lost just over time. That is things like classical conditioning, operant conditioning. Maybe not like, if you dive into those things, you're going to be a bit horrified, but generally speaking, these things are happening in the background. I like to talk sort of that they're like filters. And that, as you said earlier, if we can immerse ourselves, almost like projecting ourselves through the dog's lens or through their filters, then it gives us a greater chance of firstly understanding why they do the things they do, but how we can shape them to make better decisions moving forward. And, so that, just developing into a much more healthier dog.
Yeah.
Therefore, society is going to benefit from that.
Absolutely. Blue, positive meanings in business, loyal, trusting and honest, tactful, caring and concerned, reliable and responsible, conservative and persevering, idealistic, orderly, authoritative and devoted, and contemplative, peace and calm. You want to, something that's interesting? Go watch your local news and report back. Oh, link doesn't work. So, wait, yes, it does. One says yes, it does, and one says no. I'll put another one in. If you go watch your local news, go tell me and report back here what color you see. I'm willing to bet that it's going to be blue, because they want to have a trust. They want you to trust them. They want you to think that they are, that they care and they're faithful and peaceful, and while they distill a lot of fear-based stuff sometimes. So,
say red is another one, a combination of blue and red. So facts maybe, but a lot of emotive-driven things. So that's a bit of red.
I'm gonna see what green is now. Here, I love this stuff. Green is the heart chakra. I mean, that's in Vedic. I mean, it's a very and when we look around in the world around us, the color that is mostly reflected back to us is that green and that blue too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So let's see here. Green. Green is health, freshness, and serenity. Wealth and prestige. And light greens are calming. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just going into like advertisement, and even if you look at like fast food chains and stuff, the particular colors they tend to use, invoke certain responses from us. So it's it's all related to what we're dealing with dogs as well in a roundabout way. Just eliciting responses from. And then, whether we're creating good habits from those or not is subjective. But yeah, pretty fascinating.
Well, I like the color of your place. I mean, it makes you feel good when you look at it. I mean, everybody go look. Okay, I guess the link does work. Oh, it does. Yay. So everybody needs to go click on the link just so you guys can see the blue AstroTurf that they have. At your place, and also the enrichment. I see that you guys have a lot of enrichment exercises for your dogs.
We try to.
Well, part of, I guess, working with pet dogs is figuring out how you can do that in small city houses and backyards and stuff. Not all of us have the ability to go on a massive farm and blow our dogs out. So yet we have paddle dogs or collies, things like that. So enrichment is a number of different things that we've obviously learned through other trainers, and I mean we could go on a list of thanks, right?
Who are the biggest? You've already said Michael Ellis. You've also said Jeff Gelman. Who are some other trainers that you guys attribute some of your learning to?
I really like Tyler. Well, we both really like Tyler Muto. I attended a seminar in Australia, actually at Glenn Cook's place, and it was a really great seminar. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. He's very compassionate about the way that compassionate and thoughtful about the processes, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Myself, so yeah, Michael. I've actually written a list. So Bob Bailey.
The philosopher. That's who Dave Croyer is a big fan of his. And yeah, Bob Bailey is amazing. I mean, yeah, I got to reach out to him. He's still around.
His link to the Brelands, who were Skinner's helpers, I guess, in the lab. So it's quite an interesting story, actually, that Bob, like his entry into the animal training world. But then his offspring, if you will, trainers like Sophia Yin, who aren't with us anymore, but and even some of the, shall we say, positive only trainers, if you want to use that label, Emily Lauman. There's a number of them. But
we love everybody.
Yeah,
we try to.
Everyone
take a bit from there. That one thing's good. Oh, that works really good.
Pearls everywhere, pearls of knowledge everywhere. It's just that when people start to admonish things before they've even contemplated it, I think Plato said that was the height of arrogance. Admonishment without consideration is the height of arrogance.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've tried to maintain as a business is we're friends with a lot of different trainers. Like, we have friends that are positive only trainers. Yes. And they get a dog that maybe they've recognized, hey, whoa, this is way over our head. They will refer on to us. If we get a dog that we think fits in best with them, like, we're not currently running classes at the moment, but one of our friends is. So we'll go, look, you've got a new puppy. We can't fit you in right now. And when we have time to, your puppy would have been past that stage. So how about you go to her for her classes?
Yes.
And we've tried to maintain a neutral ground within trainers because everybody should help everybody. Like, it doesn't really matter, but also know your limits. Like, if you know that a dog is above your head, send it to somebody that you know is good in that area.
It kind of speaks to I won't elaborate too far, but just the political division within the dog training world.
Yeah.
And it's in other industries, of course, but there is a left and right and center kind of paradigm within the dog industry. So we try to stay as neutral as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't attack anybody. You won't hear me attacking anybody, or and I think that we all have something to learn from each other, and I think that we all have something to teach each other. It's just that, being open to do that. And there's, like you said, there's pearls everywhere. Even the positive clickers, the chicken, the clicking seminars, all that stuff. It blows my mind. Yeah. And I can eat this stuff up all day long. And at the end of the day, we are looking for that path of least resistance. And if we can borrow from one aspect, and if it's going to help us with this dog reach a point that is going to improve that dog's life, absolutely, I'm all for it.
Nice. Well, if you want to improve your timing, train a chicken to pick at a dog.
Yeah. Or poker chips, and teach them different colors too. Teach them the green one, and just get a bunch of poker chips and a clicker. I have a chicken out here that I've been working with, man, and she's my girl. Red is her name, and she's great. She rides in the car with me. I came in the other day. She was on the kitchen counter. We live in the country. I had to take a little video of it, but yeah, I love it, man, and I mean, it's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating stuff how behavior works, and we could extrapolate it even with human beings too, with conditioned responses and limited behaviors, and stuff like that. So, you know, I encourage you all, if you are a professional dog trainer, you know, network. Your network is your net worth, and you are going to learn from each other, and you are going to help each other out. I have John Sparks here, who I need to get on this, and you know, I love sending my clients to him if I don't have a class going on, or if this dog can really benefit from something that he has going on, and I've sent trainers many dogs, countless dogs, and I've gotten dogs referral from many different rescues, and overall, we're in this to help dogs.
Definitely.
You know, and there's a lot of infighting and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I'm not interested in that crap. I want to help dogs.
People waste so much unnecessary time. Like by the time you've got the point of whatever it is that you're trying to make, we've trained 3 or 4 dogs.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, okay, you know. And I think it's good that people should have an opinion, but don't discount other people's opinions straight away, or if at all, don't address it. Move on. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, and watch the dog. You know, let the dog show you. That's what I tell people. Why are we over here arguing? We're not dogs. Let's see the dog do it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, awesome, you guys. I've had a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me tonight, or this afternoon. What day is it there?
Saturday at 5:54 p.m.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Oh, sorry, 4:54.
It's Friday at 8:54 p.m. So you guys are way in the future.
It's nice over here.
Well, it's autumn, so you'd be spring over there?
Yes, we're getting warm, and we just had some nice sunny days, and I'm all about it, man. I'm done with winter, so you guys are ready for the autumn, and I'm ready for the spring, and awesome. So click down below, everybody, and you guys stay on. I want to say goodbye to you after I end the live stream, but everybody click on their page. I want you to join their page, and I also just sent a link, artandscienceofanimaltraining.org. That's Bob Bailey website, and so I'm going to see if I can get a hold of that guy as well. And you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for doing what you do down there, and keep up the good work.
Thanks very much, Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Cheers.
Thanks, people.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.